Good rising, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. I am Tayla Andre, and we are waking up with Tayla Andre. No matter the time, it's about your third eye and unorthodox conversations leading to universal consciousness, politics, news, interviews. We have so much to talk about. It's been about a good month since we've really communicated like this, and I miss you all so much. I wish we had an up and running number for you guys to call in. Of course, you can always feel free to Facebook Live me, or not Facebook Live me, but inbox me, slide in a DM, send me emails, please, and just let me know how you really feel, what needs to be talked about, what needs to be discussed, what am I missing? Hold me accountable for what I don't know. But one of the things I want to say is, within this time that we've really haven't been together, a lot of what we've talked about for over 4 years seems to be rearing its head, and people are waking up, and people are paying attention, and people are starting to get woke and to take education to a whole nother level. I want to say, first and foremost, the influx of statues that are being torn down, streets that are being renamed, and I have to say, starting off with Duke University removing statues of General Robert E. Lee, and Confederate monuments being taken down in Baltimore, and the mayor, Catherine Pugh, pledging to remove the statues, worked through the night from 10 p.m. until 5:30 a.m., and people came. She said it was about safety. It wasn't about anybody protesting, coming out. They need to be taken down. We're taking them down in the middle of the night, and she was there throughout from 10 p.m. to 5:30 a.m. to make sure those statues got out and no one was harmed. And I bet you people didn't even realize the next day. And honestly, until you actually do your due diligence, a lot of us walk past ignorant ass statues every day and have no clue what it means or the history behind it. I know when we had the David Banner event here in Boston, Massachusetts, shout out to David Banner, shout out to Jasmine Kimball. When David came to Boston, we talked about the history of Boston's past and the busing that took place here in Boston, and the continuous perpetuation of racism that goes on today here in the city through means of nepotism, through means of policy and practices that aren't for everybody and have never been for everybody. So to see that not just the community in which that I live, but the communities in the United States are waking up, and it's not by this past weekend's protest, fight supremacy. We saw that Boston is willing to stand up when we need to, and I wondered how many of those people that are standing up for the right to, fight supremacy, how many of those individuals are actually fighting for affordable housing, and not affordable housing meaning you make $70,000 a year, but affordable with the area median income, the AMI, understanding that 50% of Boston residents make under $35,000 a year. Like, wouldn't it make sense for us to fight for those things here, now, today, instead of, I don't know. I love the fact that we came together, that we protested in solidarity, and everybody came out. All walks of life came out. But where is that same passion when it's time to fight for the children that are in BPS, that are homeless, that are struggling to maintain an education because they don't even have somewhere to lay their head? And I look at the issues and the problems that we have within our own community, and not to say that we don't have issues and we don't have problems, but we like to mask them. And in masking our problems, mask off. Like, if we actually took a mask off and talked about Boston's problems, we'd be having our own race riots in the middle of Boston Common. So I felt like it was sort of hypocritical of us, but I love the love and the passion and the energy that it brought out. Shout out again, Catherine Pugh, who was taking down statues in the middle of the night, and I think that's the way to do it anyways. Virginia is renaming Jefferson Davis Highway and asking the internet for suggestions, so if you have a suggestion, you could be the one naming a Virginia highway. Alabama Attorney General files a lawsuit against the mayor of Birmingham. Now, I don't even like Bell. When Cooper and Bell, shout out to all my Birminghamians, Alabamians, Roll Tide. When Cooper was on the ballot, and I worked with Cooper. I try to tell y'all Cooper would have been the best bet. You would have had a football stadium by now, a basketball team by now, and them children would have had a better education. But you wanted Bell because he was from the other side of the mountain, and now you reap what you sow. That's who you voted for. That's who you got. But Bell is, I never supported him, ever. But he is catching some heat from the Attorney General, who filed a lawsuit against the city of Birmingham, the mayor, for covering a Confederate monument. Now, what I did not know is that the Attorney General's office said that it's in legal standing. In accordance with the law, my office has determined that by affixing tarps and placing plywood around Lynn Park Memorial such that it is hidden from view, the defendants have altered or otherwise disturbed the memorial in violation of the letter and spirit of the Alabama Memorial Preservation Act. I just want to pause there for a second, because we massholes just voted for this, and it passed, and right now we are in our freshman stage. We have no fucking clue what we're doing as far as the Preservation Act is concerned, even though there are hundreds of cities in the state of Massachusetts that have already used our Preservation Act. But going back to Alabama, hint, hint, I'm dropping jewels, baby, pick them up. I'm not throwing pearls at swine. Pick them up, baby, they for you. Lynn Park Memorial, it's been altered, it's been disturbed, it was violated. It violates the letter and spirit of the Alabama Memorial Preservation Act, and he said that he doesn't have the right. Mayor Bell does not have the right to do this. You don't have the right to do this. And this goes back to a story that I didn't read yet about a white supremacist teen says that he's leaving Boston University because he is getting a lot of backlash from marching in the white supremacy of the white supremacy 13. He was one of the 13. And he's saying now that, I'm going to Auburn, I'm going to War Eagle because, Roll Tide. But he's going to War Eagle because he believes that his thoughts, feelings, and beliefs will be embraced there, and other racist ideologies that he has. My bad, can you still hear me? Get freshman news. The racist ideologies that he has will be shared by not just those on campus, but facilitators, educators, and the institution itself. I'll leave that there. You can choose to pick that up or leave it where it's at. I want to give a huge shout out. Last but not least, as far as white supremacy is concerned, the San Antonio Six Flags had Confederate flags on their marquee, and they recently took those down in the spirit of, we're not racist, please come spend your money with us. They put up American flags. I would love to see that. That'll probably never happen. I have to say that my heart was absolutely broken when I found out on Saturday that Dick Gregory had passed over. But one of the things that I am excited about, and it took me a second, I had to check myself, but one of the things that I absolutely love is that I can call on Elder Gregory. I can call on him. And I've been like, hey, yo, Dick, I got some questions. Like, you can call on him now. And that's just maybe my own ideologies and my own beliefs. But he's now in the ether. And as we know, energy never dies, it only transfers. And so I am transferring the energy of Dick Gregory every day in my life. He was so much more than just a comedian. He dedicated his life to civil service and civic justice. And he fought until his last days, literally. And I feel so honored and blessed to have met him. And the way that I met him was just like, it was really, I could tell you the story of how I met him, but it just, how it happened, it was supposed to happen, it was meant to happen. And in the picture that I have with him, I'm crying. And it was because, for whatever reason, his heart was heavy. For whatever the reason was, his heart was heavy, and I felt it. And it made me extremely emotional. But at the same time, I take full responsibility for my tears, because I knew his importance. And he was just walking down the street with somebody who looked like it could have been like his nephew or his son. And I just understood his importance and what he meant to my generation, what he meant to society, what he meant as far as history was concerned. Like, I understood that. And just the emotion, like, even, I won't tell that story. I ain't snitching. Tell it all in episode 1. I want to give a huge shout out to P. Diddy Combs. He tweeted, "It's very important that we know our history at this time. We have such a rich history. If you do not know who Marcus Garvey is, Google him. He's somebody we should follow during these times. Our goal should be our economic independence. Then we won't need to worry about what anybody says." Now, I have meant much to speak on this. Where was everybody when being woke and being a quote-unquote conspiracy theorist was taboo? Where was everybody's voice then? Where was everyone's influence then? Where was everybody's dollar then? Right now it's cool to be an activist. Right now it's cool to be civically engaged. Right now to speak against the oppressor is like the thing to do. But we have to acknowledge those that have come before us, that have been in this fight nonstop every single day, tirelessly. So even though, like, Diddy, I give a huge shout out to Diddy, because he is, he's speaking facts, and some people who never knew who Marcus Garvey was are now looking him up and, investigating the spirit of Marcus and steering that up. And so I'm thankful, but I'm also, y'all know me. It's two sides to every coin. But PayPal cuts its service from hate sites, and I think this is amazing, because while we have countries out here that can't do the right thing and decide to send chemical weapons to other, countries that in biological warfare, the fact that we do have a company that is ethical in the sense of not backing a form of terrorism or not backing a form of hate. And if we only had institutions in the grand scheme of things, institutions not just meaning like the banks and those type, but actual corporate entities, that they too would stop giving money to terroristic organizations, programs, companies, corporations, people, causes, religions. Shout out to PayPal for stepping up and doing something. J. Cole will executive produce a documentary about growing up in North Carolina. He said that these 4 young men, Reginald Julian Askew, David Bud Perry, and Devontae Data Harrell, 3 men, take them through their journey over the last 6 years, what it's like growing up in rural Bertie County in North Carolina. And J. Cole talks about how this experience, like, he met them and they awoken something in him that he felt this story needs to be told. And it airs on PBS on August 28th, so we have another 4 days before it airs. But one of the things that I am predicting is that it's going to be 3 different men that are experiencing life on 3 different levels that can relate with 300,000 men that are currently lost and confused and don't have a voice for them. So shout out to Leonard Chitenge, who is out here in Boston, amplifying the man's voice and the man's place in society, not just as a father, but as a man. Shout out to you, Leonard. And shout out to J. Cole. I can't wait. PBS, August 28th, and just following the lives of these 3 young men. I'm excited. Issa Rae and Solange hosted an event to help a struggling black business owner. So her business name, I love it, as a matter of fact, it's My Two Cents. It's a soul food restaurant. And because she got into business with the wrong people who didn't really understand culinary, who didn't understand food service, she was basically being hustled out of $130,000. Issa Rae and Solange raised that money so she could then keep her business and keep her 13 employees that she had working with her. And I love her story because she's like, it's not about just my business. It's about these employees that I have that are feeding their family. Like, she's paying them a living wage for them to feed their family. And that is the small business that America is about. So I love that she was not fighting for herself and her business and well with me, but she was really focused on her employees and what does that mean for them. So shout out to Issa Rae, Solange. They hosted an amazing event, and I think this is a great story. Rihanna donated $2 million to the relief fund of Sierra Leone, and she said that the mudslide victims. So I talked about this on Facebook, but we didn't go YouTube live about the mudslide that took place in Sierra Leone, and there was no news coverage. Like, I watched the news on purpose that day, and there was no news coverage. When you took a look at the Twitter feeds, many news broadcasters weren't even airing it or tweeting it, for that matter. They couldn't even dedicate 130 characters, so 40 characters, to what was going on. And a lot of my feed that was, relaying the information. And not just that, South Africa got huge waves, and the waves were coming onto the beach and into the street, and they had to sound the alarm. And you could literally watch people running away from these huge waves. Like, and America does not talk about that at all. But we'll sit here and we'll talk about puppies. We'll talk about kittens. We'll talk about Ray Ray, who just got shot down the street. Like, we'll talk about all that, but we won't discuss what's going on in the rest of the world. We will not. And I have a theory, conspiracy theorist. My theory is, why do I want to show you South Africa with a beautiful white sand beach with clear blue oceans and, absolutely developed, infrastructure mirroring America, roads being paved better, you ain't got to deal with potholes. Why do we want to show you that image? Why would I want to distort the image I've ingrained in you through the education and the limited access that you've seen of anywhere outside of America? It's not just Africa, it's Asia, it's everywhere. We think America the Great, America the Beautiful, that's it. But if you've never, ever stepped outside of your city of Boston, of Philly, of, we have Australian listeners, whatever city you're in, I need you to, boycott Christmas this year. There's no such thing as a white man who visits you in your chimney. Stop lying to kids. save that money and take your family on a trip. Celebrate some Kwanzaa principles. Take your ass on a trip. And your favorite rocket ship. I went through the sky. Okay, so thank you to Rihanna, the Sierra Leone, $2 million. That's a big up for real, for real. Shout out to Master P. So many people who don't know this about me. Fun fact: when I was like 13 or 14, I met Master P in where's my daddy at? I'm about to ask him. I think it was the Los Angeles, LA's airport, and I knew him, I recognized him, and I did not have his album on me. So he actually signed my Montel Jordan Let's Ride. And you guys remember the tape, like you had to like unfold it, and he was just like, really? And I felt so disrespectful because I was young and I wasn't allowed to listen to Master P or nobody else that was on his album, because they all had the little sticker that said, "You too young to be listening to this shit." So I only had the clean version of the Montel Jordan tape, not even the CD, the tape, and he went ahead and signed that off. But Master P announced that he is now the owner of the New Orleans Gators for the GMGB, and I am completely and totally ignorant when it comes to sports. I'd love a nice little gentleman here, maybe not here in my bed, but a gentleman who could speak to sports so that we can have like more sports understanding, because I'm a mom of a team that plays sports, and so I need to understand a lot. But Percy Miller, a.k.a. Master P, a.k.a. Uncle P, a.k.a. Y'all saw that movie. Please tell me I'm not the only one that saw that. What's his name? Uncle P? Whatever the movie was, y'all saw it. I'm only 5 years old. I wanted to smack the little girl. So can you please stop saying that? You're clearly 10. But Percy Miller, a.k.a. Master P, the new owner of the professional basketball team, the New Orleans Gators. He said many business people and celebrities have their eye on him, but they didn't do it like he did. No, that was my own input. But I think this is absolutely amazing as far as Master P is concerned. When I say that I don't know much about sports, I don't know, like, where does this fall in the league? Is this, like, below the NBA? Is this in the NBA? Like, does he have to get his weight up first? Does he have to practice first? Are there licenses involved? So, shout out to DJ Amaro, because when he was my co-host, he was absolutely amazing, and he knows everything about sports. So, I would like to see how this pans out and how this works out, and wouldn't it be dope if Master P or Jay-Z or a couple of them just put their money together, you know, in a whack-ass, no team having state, and have, like, the all-American, but, like, an all-black league. I know. The NBA, the FLL, the NFL is already all-black, right? No, but I mean, like, black-owned, black-staffed, black players, black water boy, black grass cutters. That probably isn't a real thing, but you guys understand what I mean. Like, everybody on the roster, a little bit of nepotism. Somebody hired their cousin who hired their cousin who called the best friend. Nepotism is deep. We know it to be true. You could play like it don't exist. Shout out to the 8-year-old. Listen, I talk all the time about making your dreams come true, and I'm actually, like, working on practicing when I preach, right? So I'm not perfect, and I fuck up regularly, and I throw off my regimens, and I'm supposed to be losing weight, but I just like to eat. Like, there's a long, dirty list of things that I'm supposed to be doing that I don't. And I want to be honest and transparent and to say that you're not the only one that drops the ball. I drop the ball all the damn time. Sometimes I don't even have balls. That's how often they're dropped. But there's an 8-year-old who is making a name for himself. I believe he's in Atlanta from the due diligence that I did. I believe he's in Atlanta. He's been cutting hair since he was 4 years old. He's currently 8. And his dad said by the time he's my age, by the time he's in his 20s, he'll be a master barber. He isn't currently licensed, but his cuts are like you're sitting in a man's chair who's been cutting hair for 25 years. Like, I watched the video, and he's dope. His only problem is that he need a pat-pat, like Kevin Hart said, like a little pat-pat, little 1-2, so he can see the top of people's heads. But his lineups are dope. He does fades. He does, I don't know, temple fades. He goes in. So I'll go ahead and post all of this on the Wake Up with Tayla Andre page. That's TaylaAndre. Wake Up with Tayla Andre. It's on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can find us everywhere. Tayla Andre for everything Tayla Andre. Girls Trip is the first time. Now again, let's go back to, I'm like, oh, what if we had an NFL that was all black this and all black that, an NBA team that was all like, Girls Trip grossed over $100 million. It is the first film to do so, produced, directed, written, and starring black people. For all of my boondockers. Is there anything that needs to be said? Black excellence. When you believe, you can achieve, baby, and I believe. One of the things this article talks about, Colin Kaepernick's protest items are being shown at the Smithsonian Museum. And they have over 40,000 items in total. But one of the things that they're saying is, like, yo, you need to get you a Kaepernick jersey now. Because that's just going to be, the same dynamics in 40 years as Muhammad Ali. Like, oh, that's the first, rah, rah, rah. So pay him his homage while he's still here. Go ahead and pay the $44, get you a Kaepernick jersey. And when I didn't even think about it. It's like, don't wait 50 years. Like, why wait 50 years when you can actually have, buy in bulk now and wait for 50 years and go ahead and make your money back tenfold? Yo, that actually might be a really good idea, though. Where are my hoarders at? Because that would be like 50 years to hold on to it, though. You gotta package that so when they do finally get a hold of it, it'll still be in pristine condition. That's something to think about. Does it have to be a jersey? Can it be like a t-shirt? A hat? A bracelet? A keychain? Just something to get that memorabilia. So I am so happy to announce that Russell Simmons is bringing Def Comedy Jam back. I want the Comedy Jam back. I want the Poetry Jam back. Like, I just want Russell Simmons. Russell, what happened? What, you can't work and do yoga? Like, we need you. And whatever happened to Fat Farm? Like, why y'all, does it still exist? Let me do my due diligence before I point fingers, okay? I'm sorry. When you're right, you're right. I don't argue with you when you're right, and right now I don't know if I'm right. So I'm going to take a pause, a backseat on that one, but I give a huge shout out to Russell Simmons for this because I miss Def Comedy Jam. Like, that was the first time I ever saw Chris Tucker. That was the first time. Was it Chris Tucker? Chris Rock? Chris Rock. That was the first time I ever seen Bernie Mac. This is the first time I've seen a lot of people. I can't even, like, I can see their faces. I can see them coming on stage and leaving stage. I can see them being booed off stage. Yo, hold on. Def Poetry Jam. Which was my favorite poetry jam? The fat nigga at the door. The fat nigga at the door. The fat nigga is at the door. Come on in, fat nigga. Yo, that was by far one of the funniest skits I ever seen. What was that, Levert? Was that Levert? Loved it. You don't understand. So, Def Comedy Jam is coming back, and I'm glad. I'm so glad. Last but not least, as far as stories are concerned, because we are coming up on close to an hour. Tomorrow I'll have a dope interview for you, but not enough people are talking about the police killing of David Jones. So David Jones, if you have not heard the story, was a young man who was out here like a lot of Boston boys on a dirt bike. So he was already transporting two other individuals to jail, and he pulled over and stopped David Jones on the bicycle. He felt a gun. So reports say that he felt a gun and he was tussling with Jones. His gun, like, locked up. He cleared the lock, and while Jones was running, he shot him 2 times, one in the ass, one in the back. Now, what gets tricky about this story is this is the second time he shot somebody in the back. Now, the first time, they went ahead and justified it as far as the courts were concerned. They justified it because the individual whom he shot in the back did have a weapon and was a convicted felon with an extensive rap sheet. So they went ahead, was like, yo, this could have been one of our brothers who could have had his life taken. Yes, we support his decision to have used lethal force. This man is currently in a wheelchair and is paralyzed from the chest down. He said when he first heard the story, he just shut his TV off because he was in complete disbelief that this police officer that shot David Jones would still be an officer on the force, still having a job. And the fact that there's a possibility that he will still maybe possibly have a job terrifies people. But this is the society that we lived in, and there was actually, if you can give me a moment, my computer. Quick question. Is there anybody else who experiences like all types of fuckery with telephones and computers and anything electronic? I swear, like, everything electronic that I touch is just like, no. Like, it just goes limp. Like, we're not going to work for you. That's how I be feeling sometimes. I don't know if my computer is actually going to work, but he was talking about how, and this is the gentleman that was shot by the police officer who also shot and killed David Jones. This gentleman, again, is, I believe it's a quadriplegic. He can't move from his chest down. He said that this is like the wild, wild west. Like, it feels like it's a movie. Like, it's hunting season. And they're just shooting and seeing what they can get away with. The police commissioner stated that they were doing an investigation, absolutely, because anybody who's shot in the back, they're going to do an investigation. They found the gun closer to the police officer than they did to the suspect. The gun was 40 feet away from the suspect, but only a couple feet away from the police officer. That is extremely questionable. And long story short, if you don't know the story, please do your due diligence. Please read up on it. There's a lot of knowledge out here. He's not the only one, but he is one of the only ones that we're not talking about. So I just wanted to open your eyes and wake you up to what's going on outside. Again, I know a lot of the stories that I covered today are older stories, but it's such a long time since we've spoken, since we've seen each other. So I just wanted to get you back into the loop of what's been going on. I saw my sister. I hugged my mentor, Dr. Joy DeGrew, and I am really excited for some of the programs that she is currently rolling out in different states and working with BPS and C-Plan and the Office of Diversity and Inclusion, I believe, for BPS, or Advancement and Achievement. I could be absolutely wrong. I'm so sorry, Doncor. But just working with them to bring Dr. DeGrew's practice and theory and research here in Boston so we can experience some of the amazing results that they're experiencing all over, the world, because she's been called to Oxford, she's been called international, like, she is a scholar, and to know that she is so tangible and so down to earth and and all about the work. She's all about the work. I have so much respect and so much love for her. Thank you to Dr. Joy DeGroot, wrapping my arms around her and just giving her love. You know, moments prior to the solar eclipse was a very, very beautiful thing for me. And happy solar eclipse, you guys. We are going to do a Freaky Friday where we're going to have someone talk about the solar eclipse and the significance of the solar eclipse and lunar eclipse and what does that mean. And it's a Freaky Friday kind of topic because it's going to blow your mind. I am Tayla Andre. You've been tuned in to the Wake Up with Tayla Andre. I was going to say Monday through Friday, but I don't know. We might do Monday through Sunday. We might. It's up to you. What do you want us to do? What do you think is the best route? How many days a week would you like to hear from Wake Up with Tayla Andre? How many minutes do you want to watch? Am I too long? Is 2 hours entirely too long for you? Do you want 15-minute spurts? Do you want 30-minute spurts? It's all about you. It's never been about me. What is it that you want? Talk to me, talk to me, talk to me, baby. I think we're done streaming. I love you. I appreciate you. And I hope you have an amazing day. TAYLAANDRE.com.